Hey, what's going on, everybody? Today we're looking at the Mythic Legions Sir Andrew. This is a figure that has been released in the All-Star 6 wave, which is sort of the latest release from Mythic Legions. But pretty standard, standard figure packaging. You get the nice big collector-friendly, plastic case there with the card back slipped in so it can slip in, slip out, no problem, which is what makes it collector friendly. We get the Mythic Legions logo on the front. We get Sir Andrew's bio on the side with a picture there. On the other side, we get his faction sigil, which in this case is Aetheron. And then on the back, we get the same card as the Necronominus wave. So there wasn't a new card for All-Star 6, which is fine. I think the fact that we don't have a ton of different cards is probably for the best, because otherwise I'd probably have to hold on to a lot more of these. So this is nice. I honestly, after I unbox these, I keep the little insert with the bio, and that's about it. I keep one or two cards from each wave. But other than that, I get rid of this packaging because it's not about the packaging, it's about the figure. So let me get Sir Andrew out of the box. All right, so here is Sir Andrew out of the box, and he is one classy looking knight. The overall sort of color scheme on this guy, I know, was not one that everybody sort of loved on the initial reveal. I felt the opposite. I thought that this colorway was fantastic. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit out there. You get that sort of coppery, bronzy color. There's a little bit of a rosiness to it, if I can say that. It's hard to sort of explain the color, but it's beautiful, and I can't think of another knight. I can't think of another knight, at least in my collection, that sort of looks this unique. Maybe Ignatius, just because of the sort of pearlescence. Maybe Balaam because of the purple armor. But overall, this is just a really, really stunning color. Really, really nice. And then to go with that turquoise and then sort of the gold for the detailing, and then a sort of a goldy, gold black kind of mix on the fabric for the trim, that creates the feathers on here as well, is just really, really striking and quite beautiful. Really, really good figure. The face sculpt is fantastic as well, and I do wish that I got an alternate head that was unhelmeted, because I prefer unhelmeted knights, to be perfectly honest. But this is a really, really good helmet. The mask is quite cool. These flip down helmets make me think of Lego knights from my childhood. So I'm pretty happy with sort of how these turn out, how they look. And they're just sort of fun to pop open and pop close. I know that that's not what they're supposed to be for. Well, I guess it is, right? But I get a lot of joy just from opening and closing this. But as I said, I would much rather have an unhelmeted head personally. But I can understand why a knight would have a helmeted head. As I mentioned, the gold detailing, all the piping, all the rivets, everything like that has gold. So there's tons of gold detail on this. As I mentioned a little bit, the soft goods. So you've got wired soft goods. So you've got that sort of wired skirt piece in the front, although there is the plastic piece underneath. So if you wanted to have this knight without the soft goods, you could absolutely do that, and it wouldn't be out of place in any way. He's got all the pieces that he needs. The wire through all the skirt around the back as well, and then these feathers or these sort of fabric bits, meant, I believe, to mimic sort of a feathered look, is a really, really good look. So all in all, a beautiful figure, a beautiful sort of color and design. But really, again, just like Thrasis, which I unboxed before this guy, really the strength of this figure, I think, is in the accessories. And there's an absolute ton of accessories with Sir Andrew. So let's take a look at all of his accessories. All right, let's start with these. Again, if you know, you know. These are the wing adapters and the sort of shield adapters that can plug into the back of the figure. Next up, we'll take a look at the hands. So he gets gripping hands right out of the box. Those are the horizontal hinge gripping hands. You also get a set of vertical hinged gripping hands to swap out. I really find that I prefer the vertical hinge. I feel like for most things that makes more sense in terms of just getting the figure posed. I find that I use those probably a lot more. And then we get another set of hands that are the expressive hands, the open hands. These will allow you to sort of hold things in the palm of his hand, or sort of these are great for magic users as well, or a bunch of different uses. I am happy that we get multiple sets of hands. I do find that I use them quite a bit. We get an alternate helmet. No hinged mask to this one. This is just fixed in place, which means that I'm never going to use it, ever. I prefer the faces. I prefer more character to my characters, if you will. So that helmeted head will go in a bin with all the other helmeted heads that will kind of never see the light of day again. We get a helmet topper, so that's just going to plug into the top of the helmet. Just a nice spike. There's, different stuff, plumes and things for other characters, other figures, but that comes with a spike. Initially, when I saw that, I actually thought there was going to be like a spear or something, and that was going to be the top of it or the base of it or something. So I was kind of looking for a spear or a lance of some sort that just wasn't in the package. We get a belt. Four Horsemen do belts better than anybody, and I love getting more belts. Or in this case, I think that one's going to go across the chest, so chest strap, chest belt, whatever you want to call it. Pauldrons, I was tempted to save these like for last, because as far as an accessory goes, pauldrons are often, not that exciting. But in this case, for the Order of Aetheron, for the majestic, kind of showy, opulent knight that is Sir Andrew, we get these beautiful gold ones with the wing on them. You get the turquoise that matches the skirting and the other soft goods, which we'll look at in a moment. And the shield, like there's a bunch of this turquoise, but then there's a wash to them as well. Again, just a beautiful, stunning set of pauldrons, and really, really classy, really, really nice looking. It's a shame to just sort of drop them there and move on to the next thing almost. I want to spend longer, in awe of those. But there's too much other stuff to look at. We get the shield, so it's that nice, big, new shield design. As I said, you get the colors that match the knight, you get the gold, you get the turquoise, you get the sort of rose bronze. I think that's what I'm going to call it, rosed bronze. We have rose gold, now we have rose bronze, as far as I'm concerned. We get two ways to connect the shield to the figure. You can either use the C-clip and attach it to the wrist, or use the handle, which plugs onto the back. Either of them plug onto the back, sorry. But, one of them, you don't need a hand to hold onto it. This one requires a hand to hold onto it. I tend to use that one, but I do know folks that like having the Lego Man hand to attach it to the figure's wrist as well. So you have your choice there. We get a sheathed sword, and again, very nicely painted. This one will clip onto a belt if you don't have, loops on the belt, although he does have the loops on the belt, so that will slot nicely into one of the loops. Into another one of the loops, because he's got two on there, we can put this little sheathed dagger. These are great. This is beautifully sculpted. This is kind of one of my favorite Four Horsemen Mythic Legions accessories, because the dagger is beautiful. the sheath is almost as beautiful, and the fact that it has a very satisfying kind of friction fit that keeps it in there really nice and snug. I couldn't ask for anything more as far as that dagger goes. Then we get a sword that we've seen before a whole bunch of times. We see these a lot with elf characters, a few different versions of them. I think in the armory, this is known as the Elven Long Sword, but always nicely painted. This one has gold, a little bit of turquoise or sort of a blue on some of the sort of jeweled bits. But there is also a turquoise to the blade. So most of the blades are just sort of like, silver or gunmetal or what have you. But this actually has a really nice subtle finish to it. So the center is sort of a normal silver like you'd see. And then that sort of beveled part is nicely done in a subtle turquoise, a metallic turquoise that works perfectly with the character, of course. Now, that sword is cool all on its own, but they went a little bit further and actually included this flame effect. So this is the same flame effect that we got with the Arethyr figure quite a few waves back now. But we get it now in blue, and it fits surprisingly well on the on that Elven sword. It's not designed for that one, as best as I can tell, but it does fit just about perfectly on there. And another accessory that I part of the reason I was expecting to find a spear is we get this magic effect, this sort of energy blast magic effect. It's got sort of a spiral to it, so it actually fits perfectly on sort of a wizard staff or a spear of some sort. But in this case, I guess he'll be shooting it, from his arm or from his sword, or I'm not entirely sure what, but nonetheless, I'm very, very happy that it's in there. I love these magic effects. These are super fun, just to add a little bit of character and add a little bit more magic. It's not easy to imagine a magic user being magic, but when you have something like this, it sort of gives you a visual representation. And this one's done very, very well. So, you get the blue that's sort of gradient down to just sort of a translucent clear at the end. And it creates a really, really nice effect and matches very well with the blue flame that you get with the that goes with the sword. So very, very cool. Last but not least, another piece of soft goods. This is a sort of cape with a bit that also goes over the front of the character. I don't know what this is called. I don't know what the name of this sort of piece is for the bit that goes over the front. But again, you get that sort of wing motif, the feather motif going, and there's a couple layers of the feathers. So it's not just sort of a one and done, cut, and then it's you actually get sort of a really cool effect that almost makes it look more wing-like, even though clearly it's costumey, I guess, in nature is the easiest way to describe it. But again, for a knight like Sir Andrew, and his backstory is that he's rich, so a rich knight, rich but very noble knight, has the finest accoutrement, the finest fabrics and stuff that he could possibly get, and they're represented very, very well with the accessories, with the soft goods, and so on and so forth. So as I said, tons of stuff, tons of great stuff. Like it's not just stuff that's thrown in there for the sake of being in there. This stuff all looks really, really good, and I'm really excited to get all of this stuff, or at least most of this stuff, on the figure. So I'm gonna get him all accessorized up, maybe posed up ever so slightly, and sort of give my overall impressions. All right, so that's Sir Andrew kitted up and accessorized out, the soft goods. He's got the swords, he's got the shield, he's got the flames. A truly awkward pose, I might say. When I realized, I had the flames pointing the other way, and I was like, flames don't go down, they go up. So a truly awkward looking pose for a truly awesome looking figure. You know, the overall impression that you get from this knight is very unique. Like I said, it's sort of second to none in terms of just the sort of general aesthetic and just how different it is from everything else. You know, you get a lot of really cool knights, don't get me wrong. You know, I mentioned Ignatius. You think of like Gideon Heavensbrand. You'd think of you know, some other knights that are really, really amazing knights and amazing pieces. But he stands out. He still stands out, I think, just with this coloration, just with the soft goods, just with sort of the overall you know, look and feel of this character. So definitely a figure that I would strongly recommend. Now, as I said, I know that not everybody likes the deco and not everybody is going to like sort of the color choices here, but give them a chance. I think, you know, I think if you get this figure in hand, you'll really appreciate it. And if for nothing else, you know, if you don't like the turquoise or you don't like sort of the feathery cape or something like that, those all come off. And just the color of the knight, I think, is so unique and so cool that I'm sure you can find a way to fit them into your collection and appreciate them. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you don't want to miss future videos, hit the bell icon to get notifications. Until next time, bye-bye.